Have you ever seen trees like that with that damage? Do you know why it's only on one side of the trees only? Why is it always the same size? Do you know what it is, what the reasons are, and how to prevent it? Hello everybody. So my today's video is about super interesting topic which unfortunately not often being talked about, and this is one of the agricultural methods that does help you to prevent a lot of damage to your trees, shrubs in your garden. So we are going to talk, I hope you guessed, but if not, about whitewashing. Whitewashing is a very important agricultural method of preventing sunburn in winter. And in some situations, it might even save the life of your tree. So what is whitewashing? It's actually taking some paint, white paint, and painting your tree trunk with it. I'm sure you have seen it in your life, sometimes even by municipal gardening people, I would think, and probably always wondered why this needs to be done. So many people actually think that it's done to prevent bugs from spreading. They even add to this paint some substances that they think would kill the pests. However, you should know that many of the pests not stay in winter under the tree bark. Many of them actually stay in soil, under leaves, under pieces of wood, and so on. And secondly, even those that stay under tree bark, which in many situations are actually those good insects that you do need in the garden. So in those situations, still they're usually in the condition when it's very difficult to kill them, because they are preparing for -20, right? So they really needs to be at their best protection, and they're also under the tree. So when you do add something to this paint, it doesn't go to them, or if it goes, it doesn't have that effect that you need. So do not add it. You would just destroy or damage your trees. So why do you need to do washing? Whitewashing? As I said, the reason is to prevent sunburn. In about February, March, in temperate climates, in continental climates, what you usually have is warm days with lots of sun, and then cold nights with freezing temperatures. So especially on the south side of the tree trunk, what happens is that the bark, which is generally dark, gets hot and then cold, and because of these variations over several days or weeks, what happened is that you get some sunburn, right? So this let's say tree wounds, where infection is very easily can come in and destroy the tree further. In some situations, if severe situations, it can lead to tree death, especially if it's a young tree. And you might not know that it was because of sunburn. You would just see that the tree comes back to life, starts growing, but few months later, maybe in summer, it suddenly dies, and you would think it's because of a disease or a pest or any other reason, which can be actually, but the main underlying reason for that is because the tree was damaged, became weak, and then they those pests, fungi, bacteria, whatever it is, went through these gates of infection and infected your tree. So now that I hope you understand how important to do whitewashing of your trees, let's talk a little bit more about how to do it. Well, first of all, you need white paint, water-based paint. Most often, people use latex-based paints for interior grade, not exterior. And the reason for that, because they are less damaging for the tree. So, to repeat, interior grade white latex paints. Take a note. Because this paint is interior grade and it's a water-based paint, what will happen is that in a few months it will not be that white, it will be washed away. Because of this, that's February is the best time to do it, because if you do it too early, let's say September, October, November, then because of the weather conditions, snow and wind, by this time lots of this paint will wash away. Some people, for some reason, do it in April or May. I believe that's because they think that the paint is to protect from pests, and they think that that's the time when they start crawling up your tree. So that's when you need to do it. But it doesn't help, and it's exactly it does look beautiful sometimes, but if you do want to prevent sunburn, please do it now in February. Now, which trees to plant? It actually depends on the age of the tree. If it's a young tree, 1, 2, 3 years of age, the bark is still very flexible and it will not get sunburned because it's so flexible. If it's old bark like this, it also doesn't get sunburn because there is not much water left in this bark, so it doesn't get so much damaged. So the key is to paint your tree bark in between those times. So let's say from the 3-4 years, even better, after you planted the tree, wait a couple of years for tree to get used to these conditions, and then start whitewashing, painting, and then paint it until the bark will become too old. And you can see now in the two pictures the difference between these two types of bark. So here you see a very young tree which is too young to be painted. Look at it, just a few years old. So wait a little bit before painting trees. And this tree is perfect for your painting, and look, there is still white paint which is left from the previous year. So you see how much this paint washes away. When you paint, make sure that the trunk is smooth. You can see here that there is some moss. Obviously, paint would not very well be put on this, so what you need is to remove it, not with a knife because you can manage bark, but with something very stiff that you can just wash it to make sure that there is no anything where the paint would not stick. So this bark, you see, is very old and it doesn't need to be painted. It's very easy to see when you have this type of very thick and very dry bark. That's already no need to paint your tree, because no damage would be done at this stage because of frosts. To paint, you can just use a paintbrush, usual paintbrush, and it's advisable to add water 1:1 to this latex paint, so it becomes more liquid. Obviously, try to find day when it's not too cold, so your paint doesn't become ice before you paint it. But otherwise, anytime in February, beginning of February, probably, depending on your climate, would be very good. People usually paint it until the first line of branches, because that's where you get the most sand damage. You can paint a little bit higher, maybe even about 10 centimeters or 4-5 inches of the tree branches above the main trunk, but don't paint more than that. If you don't have too much time or too much paint, you can just paint it from the south, southeast, southwest parts of the tree, and leave the north part, because there is less possibility of damage, because it doesn't get that hot during daytime. However, many people just paint it all over, first of all because they don't know, and because they think that they provide protection from pests, but also because it looks more beautiful. So it's up to you, but south side of your tree trunk should be your main part of your dog. With this, I do hope you are going to whitewash your trees and save them and yourself from many difficulties next year. And don't forget that you will need to do it every year around the same time, because this paint will wash away over the time. Hope it was useful. I am hoping that you will whitewash your trees and send me the pictures how it looks. Bye.